feedback or anything. As I was on another chat on my laptop last week, and there was bad feedback.
Go live.
Oh.
All right, welcome everybody to another edition of Miss Bomey's Zone. Tonight, special guest. I owe him 2 ends, by the way. Gunwild 1, 2 ends. All right, you guys got a hell of a topic tonight. I'll be curious to hear how this goes. It's all yours, Miss.
Hi, everybody. Tonight we have Jeff as our guest. Gunwild 1 is his YouTube channel. And we're going to be talking tonight about the rock and roll and the LA scene back in the day. And I'm very, very excited about this topic. He's met and saw some interesting things. So I am really looking forward to this evening to talk to him about that. So here we go.
Okay.
Hi, Jeff. How's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Just looking to see. Okay. So as we're waiting for people to fill up in the chat room so I can give a shout out a little bit later, let's go ahead and get started. So let's start off by saying this. I was very excited the night that we got to chat after, I think you were on Eric's show, Locked and Loaded, and we were talking about music. And you were telling me about all the different, bands that were kind of up and coming in that time frame back in the 80s. So
Yes.
Can you tell me what was one of the favorite bands that you met back in the day? And then 2, who do you think was the most personal person that you've met, throughout these years when you were out there in the Hollywood scene, so to speak?
Okay. My favorite, Motley Crue, hands down.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I spent most of the 80s in the clubs in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Actually, from about 79 through about 88 or so.
Okay.
I those years in there, and got to see a lot of up and coming bands. I saw a ton of bands that didn't go anywhere. I saw bands morph into other bands. Mm-hmm. But the Crue has to be my all-time favorite. As far as meeting people, the nicest you're asking?
Well, yeah, the one that just had the most personality, that was just kind of down to earth, didn't act like a dick when you met him. Her, him, whoever.
I would have to say probably Ricky Rocket from Poison.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me. The drummer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was very friendly. He wasn't standoffish or anything. He was actually in a club called the Troubadour, and he was there to see a friend's band. And I walked up to him and started talking to him, and I told him of my experience of catching one of his drumsticks at a show, and we started a conversation. He was very personable, I guess. I'm not saying that word right, but he was very friendly and was willing to talk to people. He wasn't one of those, get away from me kind of people.
Yeah.
I have met some people like that too.
Yeah, I can imagine that you have. We'll get to that in a moment. So did he come across to you if you were just 2 buds sitting in a bar hanging out together, just carrying on a conversation, just kind of laid back, relaxed kind of conversation?
Sure. Yeah, he was that kind of guy.
I just find that so hard to believe. I mean, Not that I'm saying that you're lying, but you know what I mean? Because at that time, though, too, they were kind of up and coming, right? They haven't got to the point where they really plateaued with the popularity.
No, this was shortly after the release of their first album.
Okay.
And yeah, they were still climbing up.
Okay.
And actually, the show where I caught his drumstick was the one they were playing where they filmed the video for Cry Tough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm out there somewhere in the audience in that video.
Oh, wow. That's
But
cool.
I don't think you can see me, but I was about center stage, 20 feet back or so.
Yeah, but just to have those bragging rights to say, hey, I was there, I was part of it. That's awesome.
A place called the Palace in Hollywood.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the locations that in Hollywood. Now, I don't know if you know, but the book The Dirt by Motley Crue. I don't know if you've ever read that. It talked about some of the.
I have not read it completely, but I do own it. I have started to read it, I guess.
And in that book, they talk about some of the various places that they either hung out at or played. So with that in mind, what are some of the places that you remember that were very memorable, and just kind of sharing some of the experiences that maybe you had at some of those different places?
Right off, I got to say the Whiskey A Go Go.
Oh, yes.
World famous whiskey.
Yeah.
I think every band in California has played there. Then you have the Troubadour, which is still standing.
Oh, okay.
The whiskey, fortunately, is still there. Places like Gazzari's, which is no longer there, unfortunately, after Bill Gazzari passed away. His family shut it down a couple years later. Place is no longer there called the Starwood.
I remember.
I was present at one of the, don't know if it was the first show or the second show that Motley Crue played as a band. First time they played was at the Starwood.
Yep.
And yeah, I was at one of those shows. I don't remember if it was the first one or second one. But the Roxy, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, the Cat House. It's not a club, but there's also a place called the Pantages. Where I saw Twisted Sister a couple times.
Wow.
Let's see. Oh, that's most of them.
That was most of them.
Yeah.
So with some of the places that you just named, like what are the differences that stand out between some of the clubs? Was it just the bands that they got to bring into the door? Like what was their pull? What was their draw to get you to actually, want to say, hey, this is like one of the places that I want to hang, or a band that I want to see? Or
mainly atmosphere.
Okay.
Gazzari's, when Bill Gazzari was still alive, he had a very he looked like he was 90 years old, but he was only in his 60s, and he had a real rough kind of a gangster, old school gangster look to him.
Okay.
That rough voice, and he would get up on stage and just kind of get this crowd excited before he'd bring on a band, and it was just his ambiance, I guess, that kind of drew people in. Place like the Rainbow, it's just a place to kick back and have a good time, which is where I met Lemmy from Motorhead. And the pretty much the same everywhere. Now, of course, some of them did not make it due to not being that great of a place, like the Starwood and the Roxy. They didn't live a very long life, but they did have some good bands playing there. Yeah.
It's funny how some of those places, still have endured the test of time, so to speak, while other ones just kind of, fell off by the wayside. That's crazy. So let's back up a second. You yeah, some of them that have been there forever. So let me back up a second. When you said that at one of the places that you frequently went to, you got to meet Lemmy. What was he like?
Now, Lemmy, I probably should have brought him up as far as being the nicest person I ever met.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Ricky Rocket popped in my head. But Lemmy was he would invite you to sit down with him and he'd buy you a drink.
Oh, really?
And he would talk to you. How are you? You know, what brings you here? How's your day? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He was just a very nice man.
So when you're having this conversation with him, did it come across like it was just genuine? Because you know how like some people just kind of go through the motions?
No, he was genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Very genuine. Yeah.
Wow, that really surprises me. You never know like what some of the people's personalities
he
are.
may have had a rough exterior, but he had a good heart.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny? I just find that so strange. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just, you know how you just get an idea in your head of like how this person's supposed to be or act, and this is what you think about him. And then when somebody says, "Hey, I've actually met them,"
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of goes, "What?" And then you're off in a different direction. So, was there any one place that was your favorite overall that you had frequent back in the day?
Probably the place I was at the most was the Troubadour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I worked security for a friend's band, and they played there quite a bit.
Oh, okay. So you had job at one of the clubs besides
Not
actually
a
just
job.
kind of hanging out?
I have a friend that was a drummer in a band, and he asked me to do security because of my size, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would basically just guard the door to the dressing room and keep all the people out, you know.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, I got into the show for free, and you know, got to see some good bands. But yeah, the Troubadour was a place I went to quite a bit.
That's interesting. I would have thought you said the whiskey. See, there you go.
The whiskey is a very nice place inside.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was not working for my friend, the whiskey was the place I generally went to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were one of the places that did not have an age limit.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go into there when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
You know,
because there was no age limit?
Yeah, there's no age limit at the whiskey.
Wow.
Other places was 18 and over.
Mm-hmm.
And other places, well, the Troubadour is the only one that I can think of that's 21 and over.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the different clubs had set standards for, you know, different ages.
Yeah.
So how did I just got to ask this because I know how it is when you're a teenager and you want to sneak alcohol and, you know, get a drink at the bar. How did they make sure that if you weren't of legal drinking age, but you could still, you know, be there to see the band? How did they deal with that?
Oh, when you bought your tickets, they would card you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you were old enough to drink, they would put a stamp on your hand.
Oh, okay.
This was way before the wristband thing.
I was just going to say that.
yeah, they would stamp your hand.
I remember that now. Thanks.
Well, and what people used to do, they would kind of wet it to get it wet, and then stick their friend's hand on top of it to kind of copy the stamp. That way they could buy booze.
See, there's always a way.
Yeah, there was a way around it.
There was. If you got in the bar, you gotta go try to get that drink.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there and done that. Wow, that's just crazy. Okay, sorry, I was having a flashback.
That's all mine. You know, nostalgic.
Yep, exactly. So in all the time that you were there and on the LA scene, um, in just kind of doing your thing, what was one of the bands that you thought in your mind, hey, they're really good, and I think they might make it and go far, but actually didn't, get over that hurdle?
Wow. Steeler, band called Steeler, which was Ron Keel's first band before he went to Keel. I thought they would go places because their guitarist was Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they put out one album and pretty much that was it.
And they were done.
Yeah. Yngwie went his way and Ron started his own band, named after himself, and continued on that way.
Isn't that funny that you would think that, and that's the other thing too. I mean, I'm sure that you saw a lot of different talent throughout the years.
Oh yeah.
Was there any one, let's just go kind of down the line with the band members. Was there any one guitar player that really impressed you that you thought, hey, he's got the talent?
Oh, that's kind of a hard one to answer. There's so many bands that made it that, and the talented guitarist, like Slash, probably one of them.
Oh, yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you just get mesmerized. I do by his playing. I just go, holy cow. And I could just sit there and watch him play for hours.
Yeah, Slash was the replacement guitarist in Guns N' Roses after Tracy Guns left the band. And, he was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Was there others that kind of stick in your mind besides Slash?
Mick Mars, of course.
Oh, yes.
I
agree with you on that one.
Like, Warren DeMartini, Rat.
Okay. I'm like, give me a second. I'm like, okay, who was that guy?
George Lynch, Dokken.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chris Holmes, but it's kind of thrashy, which he was in Wasp.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was, wasn't he?
Yeah. And there was this, I can't remember his name. There was this other guy that played a double neck guitar that instead of being, two necks sticking out one way, one was to the left, one was to the right, and he'd play them at the same time. And I wish I could remember his name. It was Gillette. Jim Gillette is his name.
Wow, that's some serious talent. That when you're doing it with both, wow. Yeah. I can't even imagine. That must have been something to see.
On both necks and just sit there and playing with his fingers, and it was amazing.
Wow, I can't even imagine that.
And he kind of went nowhere. He did like he taught guitar lessons, and pretty much that was it. He never really made it big. He should have, in my opinion. He should have.
Yeah. It sounds like it. I mean, I don't know of too many people that can do what you just described.
Yeah.
Excuse me, as far as that goes.
I've never seen anybody else do that other than him.
Yeah.
I mean, you see some guitarists that, like Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, he's got like 8 necks on his guitar, that kind of craziness, but one on each side, that took some talent.
That would blow my mind. I can't even imagine. Wish I would have saw that. So, so for guitar players, we said that. What about like singers, the front man or front woman of the group? Who do you think was a really good person that could draw the crowd in, get them, get their attention and keep their attention, so to speak?
Vocalist? I'll tell you right from the beginning, unfortunately, Vince Neil was not one of those people.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that.
The original.
I love my boys.
I don't want to talk any dirt about my favorite band, but at the beginning they were very rough.
Yeah.
But as far as outstanding vocalist, wow. The one that would kind of like grab your attention and keep you focused on him would be like Blackie Lawless from Wasp.
Okay.
He's not the greatest singer, but he had that charisma about him. Just draw your eyes to him.
Yeah. I do think that there's certain lead singers that do have that. They have that energy, if you will, that they put out, and you're like, wow, and you're focused on them.
And Axl Rose too.
Mm-hmm.
Even before Guns N' Roses, his band prior to that was called Hollywood Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the same guy in that band, that he is in Guns N' Roses. Just that snake dance move that he does, and he's kind of all over the place. He keeps the crowd energized.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very good at that. That's for sure. Is there any other ones that come to mind?
Well, there was a little troll, Stephen Pearcy, Rat.
Mm-hmm.
Rat. The reason I say troll because he's like 5 foot nothing. And, I tell you that guy, the makeup did that man wonders, because without makeup, he's I'm gonna leave it at that.
So if you were a girl, you wouldn't date him without the makeup?
No.
Just saying.
Vince Neil was the same way. He may not have had his voice tuned very well.
Yeah.
But he also had charisma.
Yeah.
And in the early days, he'd be all over the stage. Well, I guess through his entire career, he was all over the stage. But in the beginning, he was just kind of shaking his hips kind of thing on stage before actually being really energetic,
Yeah.
Kind of like in the video for Livewire.
Yeah.
He didn't really move around much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure most of that was done for the camera, but
Yeah.
That he wasn't one of those guys that was running all over the place, but he eventually turned into that.
Yeah, I think he did too. I don't think he was into it at first as far as being the front man, but I do think as time progressed on, he got there.
He got his groove, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's it exactly. He that's a good way to put it. Is that he found it and he got it. Excuse me. So, other questions that I have. So, was there any particular drummer that kind of stood out
Tommy
for
Lee.
you?
Tommy Lee. A showman like no other showman.
I have to agree with you 110% on that one, because every time that I've saw them in a concert, yes, I'm having a squirrel moment and kind of getting off a topic. When he had that roller coaster through the
that was the farewell tour,
yeah, the farewell tour, I'm just like, who thinks of this stuff? Of course he would. Yeah, then that's what I mean. Of course he would, and then in the earlier tours when they were doing their shows, he was always doing something with his drums to kind of stand out a little bit.
Well, yeah. Well, what was it? Was it Theater of Pain tour where it would lift up off the ground and it started spinning around?
Yep, that's just what I was thinking about. Just as you said that. So yeah, I do, and I think he is a really good drummer, because to me I think he's got his own different kind of energy that he puts out there, and because of that captures people's attention, and you just kind of stay focused on him.
You know, he isn't the first one that did that kind of stuff, but
No.
he kind of perfected it, I
Yep.
guess. Because to me, the old school Peter Criss, his drum riser going 25 feet
Yes.
up in the air, you know,
Mhm.
and that was like, wow. You know,
Yep.
what the Tommy did was just outrageous.
Yep. That's for sure. Yeah, he's amazing. Yep. Was there any other drummers besides him that kind of stuck out in your mind?
Frankie Benali, quite right.
Okay.
The original drummer for Wasp, his name was Steve Riley. LA Guns after Wasp. He was really good.
You've named a lot of good bands.
No one else that comes to mind right now.
No. You know, the funny thing, too, is as we're going through this, talking about it, most of these bands that you've brought up that you've got to see in person, they really kind of stood the test of time. I mean, for the most part, they've had what I would consider longevity in the music business.
Yes. You know, some of them may have not been the original lineup that actually made it, but yeah, the band did make it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there was one band that was almost completely, every member is different except for the singer, and they made it pretty big, and that was Quiet Riot.
Yeah.
That's
a good band too.
Quiet Riot really they started off in the mid-70s.
Oh, I didn't realize that they had started way back then.
76,
oh, wow.
7, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't hit it big until Metal Health was released, and that was about 83.
Yep.
They were around 5-6 years prior to that.
Wow.
And they actually had released 2 albums, but none of them in the States. They were released in Japan.
Wow, that's kind of weird.
And by the time they became a household name, for lack of a better term, the entire band had changed, with the exception of the singer, Kevin Dubrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because their original guitarist was none other than Randy Rhoads.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And about 1979-ish, Ozzy stole Randy away from Quiet Riot. And 1980, Ozzy released his very first solo album, Wizard of Oz, and that's when everybody heard of Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, the plane accident and all that. But
sad.
Yeah, good stuff.
Excuse me. I'm just going to take a minute to say hi to some of the people that are in the chat room. Of course, Eric's in there listening. We have Doug and we have Ed so far. So thanks everybody for joining us in the chat room. And thanks everybody that is currently listening. I hope you're enjoying this, and everybody that will be listening to it in podcast.
I got a question. I got a quick question.
Yes, I was just going to ask you. You got some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
A moment that stands out in the 80s where you think it changed something for a band. You know, it could be any band. I don't know what band. But I mean, so there always seems to be these moments that kind of change it for bands. Is there any that you can think of that happened out there in the LA scene that you're like, okay, that, you know what, that set the stage for these guys to be catapulted?
Well, I'll say prior to the hair metal thing, you had these what's called the skinny tie bands. You know, like the Knack.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
And yeah, then I can't say any particular band, but it's just the glam rock or the hair metal, whatever you want to call it, that just kind of just came in and just took everything over. Unless I'm misunderstanding your question.
No, it's just in other words, like let's say Motley Crue. There was a moment that Crue got catapulted. There's something that they were playing at the Roxy, or they were playing here, or they were playing there, and in walks, for lack of a better, I don't know who the big record players are. I'll just say EMI. Someone walks in from EMI and goes, there it is right there.
Elektra picked up Motley Crue.
Elektra, okay.
Yeah, because they had released their first album on their own record label, Leather Records, and Elektra signed them and remastered the album and re-released it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did not know that.
And that's when you started hearing Livewire on the radio, or A Piece of Your Action. The first songs that you ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just I wondered if there's anything that happened in the LA scene that was that catapult, because you always hear every band has this moment. I mean, you were just talking about Quiet Riot. I actually saw Quiet Riot in Maine. Nobody knew who the hell they were. I got tickets at the front door. All right, the band, no joke. Now in our arena in Portland, we're a tiny place, but it's still a good sized little arena there. They actually showed up, and when they showed up, they ran off of the bus. They grabbed their gear and stuff and got in there. They were late. They carried their gear on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So they were not special. Right? Whenever the band carries the gear on stage, they're not special. And I heard them then, and I thought they were really great. I enjoyed the hell out of it. He still, at that time, even he had his little candy cane mic pull or whatever.
Oh yeah.
He had that going then, but that's what I saw of Quiet Riot. Then all of a sudden something happened and they got catapulted. Now a lot of times it can be a deal that's made, but I didn't know if there's anything in the LA scene that kind of catapulted a band into making them famous.
Well, I would think it was the release of Metal Health and getting radio play. I can't speak for other states, but here we have one radio station that's been here for probably 45 years that plays all these bands. And that's where I heard a lot of these, a lot of bands, or discovered new bands from the radio.
Yeah, when I was younger, that was well, you and I are about the same age. That was the way it used to be done. If you got played on the radio, it was awesome. Do they still like try all they can, or is it a closed society now to get on the radio? Does that make sense?
Changed a lot. I haven't been to Hollywood in so long, just because the music, I don't think there's anything good out there, I don't have an answer for that, I guess.
So there's not really anything up and coming out there right now, huh?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Because my niece, her boyfriend's in a band, and they play out in Hollywood. And I saw them, and I was just like, I hate to say it, but these guys are horrible.
You got some questions coming in from the chat room.
Yeah. Okay, question from Douglas. He wants to know, Jeff, have you ever been in the Viper Room?
The Viper Room, no, that opened up in, I believe, the 90s. No, I haven't.
Okay. I'm just checking here.
Is that a question about Tommy and Pam's home?
Oh, yeah.
I think the Viper Room is what Gazzarri's turned into, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that the Key Club? But no, I've never been in the Viper Room.
And of course, we always have to have the comment about Tommy and Pam's home movie. Oh always, every single time. I don't care how many conversations I've had about Tommy Lee. Enter Pam.
Christine's always like, "Who's that? Who the hell's that? Who's Pam? You sure it wasn't a map and they just spelt it wrong?"
Okay, so now thinking along that lines, going back to all of these different places that you ban and seeing all these different bands, let's talk about the girls for a minute since Douglas decided to bring up Pam.
Okay.
What was it like, and what did you observe back in the day when you're at these places with the girls and the bands? What was it like?
And he leans back in his chair.
He's like,
Well, I'm trying to.
I'm with you. I wasn't there, but I'm with you.
Night. Well, I can tell you they all had their hair teased to the roof. Wearing the oddly colored spandex clothing and leather. Tons of makeup.
Oh yeah, it just seems like to me that they would try to like outdo one another. You know what I mean? To grab that attention from that particular person in the band that they have their focus on.
Yeah.
Not like if you were there, you would never have tried to get anybody's attention, Christine.
No, I would never try to get my boy's attention. No.
Like, look, it's Nikki sit. Oh please, I'll just sit over here.
Yeah.
I can see her now elbowing some little skinny girl going, "Gee, doesn't that really suck, huh?"
Well, that definitely would be a hold my beer, watch this moment.
Oh my gosh, all those girls' hair caught on fire. I wonder what happened. Here's your lighter back.
Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't happen.
I know. Well, because, you got to smoke in the clubs back in the day, so I always just wondered why nobody's hair actually did catch on fire as a side note.
I mean, you watch some of those old videos of the hairdos those girls had. It was really like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I remember doing that.
I don't even know how you girls.
Why? I don't know.
How you girls were even in the bathroom together without passing out. There was no air. There was no air in a woman's bathroom. You
not
know
to
it.
mention, not a lot of room. I mean, you got big hair out too.
Well, if you have to do your hair, you wouldn't have to even have a hairspray. Just walk in the bathroom and stand by the sink. You'll get the overspray.
That's it too. You just stand there. You probably would. Yeah, bathrooms.
How you girls breathe in there?
Oh, not very easily, let me tell you. I'm just saying. That's kind of crazy. So, yeah, I was just kind of curious about that. And the other thing that I was kind of curious about, just kind of throughout the years when you look at these bands and then you see these girls that want the attention, that try to gravitate towards the bands to get their attention. Some of them are really pretty. Some of them are pretty. Some of them are average. Was there ever, at one point in time, one girl that kind of caught your attention, Jeff, that she was gravitating towards a certain band member that you were just like, oh my gosh, she's just like she's drop dead gorgeous. And I can't believe she's going for that guy.
Well, I've seen lots of what you're talking about, but they were on the arm, already hanging on the arm of a guy that's just like, how did he get her?
Right? You're just kind of scratching your head going, huh?
Yeah.
The dude from Autograph.
Yeah. Huh? That just always amazes me, though. It really does. It's like you have these really, pretty women, and it's like, how did you get with him?
It must be hung like Tommy Lee or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
Big wallet.
No.
Big wallet.
Yeah. Well, that too. I'm sure that helps. Yep.
You know that helps. When a
Mhm.
person has
Yeah.
a couple $1 million in disposable income and they just have to spend it. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
That's it. Well, there you go.
Well, I kind of doubt that when the guy is dressed just like her and wearing just as much makeup.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up because I did want to talk about that. I have to know this. Way back in the day when Motley started, were they doing the makeup thing? Or did that
Very
come
little.
after?
Very little. The makeup
Okay.
really didn't start until Shout at the Devil.
Okay. I was always curious about that. I had to ask.
Yeah, the club days, no. You may have seen some eyeliner. That was about it.
Yeah. Okay. I
Now,
was curious.
How would the LA scene have reacted to it, you think?
Yeah.
Well, it caught on.
I'll say it did.
Well, yeah, we know that part. I just want to, back when it was first trying to catch. I'll still never to this day I will never understand how the hell I got the coolest idea. What? Let's dress like chicks and pick up chicks. We're a band of dresses like chicks and we'll pick up. I can never figure out to this day who came up with the idea and how it actually worked.
Because there was lots of bands that did it. I mean, you had Poison, you had Motley Crue, you had Bon Jovi, you had a number of bands that were doing it.
Even the Christian bands. Look at Stryper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even Stryper. And you wonder, someone's like, hey, what? We got to sell more records. What do you want to do? Let's dress like chicks. Who comes up with that?
I don't know, but for any of the youngins out there, if you are listening, it's already been done.
Yes, don't claim it was your idea.
Don't claim it. We had it.
Yeah.
Don't go there. It's the red zone.
Yeah, they're running out. They're running out of. They just got to go back to metal.
Mm-hmm.
Just let metal be. I can't do.
Yeah.
They've tried everything. We've got
Uh-huh.
we've got rock rap now.
Oh,
which is confusing. That's confusing. I mean, the old school rap, some of that was fun. It was fun. It was all right. Early '80s, it was cool. It was all right. Now it's all about shooting each other. So I'm past that stuff. But now they're trying to do this. What's this new one they're calling it? It's got a funky name, and it's just like electro punk something. I'm trying to think what the hell it's called. Oh, dub. That was it. Dub. It's like
it's called bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you go now. I remember here in Maine when you were a punk ass, we called you a dubba. You had nothing but a dubba. So they've taken the off and just took dub. Hey, that sounds cool. Let's be dubs. Yeah, I want to be a dub. And I'm like, what? And all it is this. They take all the music sounds the same, and they get all excited. All right, here we go, and it's all electronic. You can do it from a panel. You don't have any. There's no musicians. There's not. My name's DJ Freshy Fresh, and it's like, and it's like, what the hell is that? What is that? Now someone needs to tell them, hey, you want to take this to the next level? What? Dress like chicks.
Yeah, no.
Let's see how dedicated you are to this dub. Dress like a chick.
And it took off.
That kind of leads me to my next question, Jeff. I know that you've been out there back in the day for a while and being off to these various clubs and stuff and seeing a lot of different bands, but let's talk about the people, the LA people. Like, how open were they at that time? Because let's face it, music at that point in time was really changing because we didn't have the disco anymore. So now we're kind of, going to a whole different genre. So how do you think that people out in your area, were they pretty open-minded about it?
Hollywood, yes.
Mm-hmm.
As far as beyond that, it took a while for it to be accepted.
Okay.
Just in my opinion, that's what I saw. Well, you look at things like the way back when the PMRC, when they put warning labels on albums and stuff like that. You know, that
Right.
this is devil music, you know, and all that kind of garbage. And it took a while for it to gain acceptance. But in the Hollywood Strip, right there where all these
Mhm.
clubs were at, it was very well accepted.
Wow. So do you think that that exception, or people accepting that, really kind of gave that push for some of the bands to get over that hurdle to become successful?
Sure, sure.
You
Yeah,
know?
they got the support from the fans,
Hmm.
and well, shoot, record labels were signing these guys left and right,
Yes, they were.
you know, and were putting out albums and then start touring with other bands, you know, be an
Mhm.
opening act, and you know, some made it, some didn't.
Yeah. So there was quite a bit of scouting going on at that time then too for
Oh yeah,
talent.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that,
You'd be in the nightclub watching the band, and you'll see the guys with the suits on
oh, really?
watching.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they would be right there just kind of checking it all out.
Uh-huh.
That's just crazy to think of that. I mean, because I don't know. I think things are a little bit differently as far as how they do the music, you know, scene today versus, back then, because back then you were really trying hard to get people's attention, to get signed. Plus, you wanted to get your songs on the radio because radio was the thing that
Yeah.
got you out there at that time.
I think nowadays you just give them your music on a thumb drive or something
Yeah.
and have them listen to it.
Yeah.
Back then, you'd see, like I said, the guys in the suits sitting there watching.
Yep. And I don't know. I think if I was like one of those suit people, I think that I would enjoy that much more. I mean, wouldn't you, to actually
Oh,
see
yeah.
them and their what do you want to call it? Their true environment, which is on the stage performing.
Yes.
Because to me, to put it on they do the recording, put it on a thumb drive, or however they do it electronically nowadays. I don't think that you probably get a good sense of who the people are or person is.
Right. Kind of to go back to something I said earlier about my niece's boyfriend's band. The music that they have, they put their music on a thumb drive instead of a CD, or you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
a thumb drive. You plug it in your computer, you can listen to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's horrible. Sorry to say that, but it's horrible. But when I saw them live, it wasn't as bad.
Right.
There's more energy put into it,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the kind of guys they are. You know, I got to meet them, and you know, they were really nice guys, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, just a studio recording does not capture who they are or what they do.
Yep. I agree with you there. I think it's a very different scenario nowadays versus how it was back then. I think that's just kind of funny though. I just just picture this guy in the suit and tie walking into one of these places. It
I
just
mean,
makes me kind of chuckle. But it was the thing that they did back then.
have you ever heard a song on an album that you think is okay, but if you
Hmm.
see that band live and they play that song and it's great?
Yeah, that's it. That's very true. So I think that doing the scouting back in the day gave them a better idea of like what that band was all about, and really, did they have the talent to do it? Because it's not easy for, first of all, to get up on stage, and secondly to, perform in front of an audience and capture that audience attention and keep it.
You know, and there's also a gimmick to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some bands had big gimmicks, some bands had none at all.
Yeah.
You know, one of them. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll ask you afterwards.
Oh, one of them was like Wasp. They'd throw raw meat out into the audience.
Forgot about that.
You know, and then Blackie would drink blood out of a skull, and he'd have a nude woman on a torture rack in the back of the stage, and he had the big saw blade cod piece.
Mm-hmm.
That was their gimmick, just the psychodrama kind of thing. And then, even Motley Crue,
Yep.
Nicky would light his legs on fire.
Yeah.
He'd put lighter fluid on his legs, and Vince would have a torch, and it was on fire, and touch his legs, and poof, it'd light it up. That kind of craziness just kind of drew a lot of attention to these bands.
Oh yeah.
And people would flock to go see them. See this crazy stuff that they're doing, kind of thing. Kind of like Kiss. If it wasn't for the theatrics, I don't think they would have been as big as they were.
I don't think so either.
They are, I should say.
Yeah. There's another band that's had success, longevity.
Douglas just asked my question. I was going to ask you, Jeff, is there a band that you would say, in the reverse of all of it, how you said you hear the song on the radio or on the album whenever you go see them live, it's like, wow, okay, I like that's really good. But is there any band that you can think of that you've seen you would say, buy the album, don't go to the show?
That's a good question. It's a tough one.
As far as the 80s stuff goes, I would say not that I can think of. Now, there's another band that I can think of I really don't want to say anything about because it may hurt somebody's feeling that it possibly is listening out there.
Oh, well, don't do that.
Because I've gone to a concert, and it's a huge band, and their music is fantastic, but their stage show is horrible. It's boring. I like to see an act. And, I'm going to throw it out there. Sorry, Ray, if you're listening, but Rush has got to be the most boring concert I ever went to.
Oh, okay. Well, he's not going to be here too. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
No,
I love Rush. They're a great band.
There's a few bands I can think of that.
But to me, they're boring.
They had some really cool music, and they just stood on stage. They literally stood on stage and played the guitar, and that was it.
That's the way Rush is.
Yep.
When I saw him, and it was on the Moving Pictures tour. Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, that album.
Oh, really?
Crazy awesome album. Awesome album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I was just bored. Sat there, and I could have got up and left halfway through the show. I was that bored.
Now, is there I'll ask another form of the same question. Any band that you went to, any concert you went to that, if Jeff had his choice, he wouldn't be there. He would not be there, but he got tickets or he won a ticket or whatever. So he freaking goes to the concert and becomes totally surprised because it was a hell of a lot better show than you thought it was going to be.
Wow. I would have to say Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. After Appetite for Destruction was released, they played in a little theater over in Pasadena that I went to. My friend's band opened for them, and it was much better than what I remember the club stuff as. They were more polished.
Oh, wow.
They were tight, however you want to put it. They just sounded fantastic.
So they were like right on.
For me, it was Styx. I thought it was going to suck. I really thought it was going to suck. And I ended up at a concert and was more than pleasantly surprised. They really put on a hell of a show. I was shocked.
Yeah, sorry I never got to see them.
I saw it was Paradise. See, I don't know what it was, but the whole name of the album, everything, the song, all that. You heard that song, and I was like, "That's a chick song. Oh, what happened to Styx? I don't want to see this concert," but I went, and wow.
Well, okay. On that same question, there was one band that I really knew very little about that my friend gave me a ticket to, and I went to, and I was blown away, or I really enjoyed it, and that was Molly Hatchet.
Ooh, Molly Hatchet. Love Molly Hatchet. Love Molly Hatchet.
No, John, you don't. Not at all.
Love Molly.
I was just, like, who the hell are these guys? Went and checked it out, and yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, there's something else.
Oh yeah.
I love those surprises when you get there and you're like, oh, are you kidding me? This is awesome. This is great. All right, cool. Because I was paranoid about going to Paradise Theater. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so gay. This is gonna be Styx has gone gay. It's it. It's over. I remember when I first heard that song on the radio. I'm like, what the hell is that? I was like, is that Dennis DeYoung? I'm like, oh, that one that was worth the time. And it's all theatrical, and you're like, the hell is that?
What the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what song. You're going la 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 la.
Because I don't even really, I hate the song so much. The worst of times, the best of times, the best of time, whatever the hell it was. It was like that song came out, and they went downhill for me. It's just like with Tesla, when Love Song came out, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm over. This is it. I'm finished. I'm not doing this. I wanted Modern Day Cowboy. I wanted all, yeah, let's do that. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, okay, now we're going to slow it down a bit for the girls out there. You're like, okay, I quit. That's it. I don't want to listen no more. And they just put out. They just put that.
Styx, they would have to play Miss America.
Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah.
That's probably my favorite Styx song.
Oh geez, John, you and your chick songs.
Well, I mean, come on. You cannot go from Modern Day Cowboy to Love Song. You're like, what the hell was that? April Wine. April Wine did it too. All that music, all that rock, and then they do Just Between You and Me. What the hell was that? I quit. That's it. I'm done. Next band, please. You just can't do that. It's not fair. I turn on the radio. I'm ready to rock out. And you're like, la 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 la. I love you. La la la. Oh.
You can just see it now. John's pulling up his hair. Ah! Don't go there.
I think I threw the CD out the window. What the hell was that? Or tape, I think it was.
I was going to say it was probably cassette back in the day.
I said CD. I started thinking, well, let's see. No, it left a trail, so it was tape.
Yeah, it would be. Okay. So now that John's done with the chick portion of the songs. Okay, so let's talk about this for a moment. Going back to the previous conversation that you and I had, you were telling me that you actually got to meet some of the band members. So,
which band? Crew?
The Crew.
Okay.
And you got to meet them. So what did you think about each of them as individually? Let's just kind of go down the line. We'll start with Vince. Did you ever get to meet him? And if so, what's your opinion? Let's put it that way, so we're not offending anybody.
Vince, well, I met them all. They were all at a meet and greet for a record release. Girls, Girls, Girls album right there. Vince is definitely the party animal type. And it shows in his personality.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to have a good time. He's really peppy.
He really wears that party like a rock star.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
much like Vince,
Yes.
very peppy and talkative and energetic. Nikki is a little more mellow,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got a real cool personality.
Yeah.
Mick is the withdrawn one.
Yeah.
Mick is the guy, if you go to a party, he's sitting in the corner by himself, sipping a cocktail or reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a people person. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you've seen these concert footage. Mick is never looking at the crowd.
No.
He's always looking down at his guitar.
Yep. I noticed that.
And he'll even tell you, he claims to be shy.
Yeah.
You know, you watching the videos and stuff, he is looking at the camera and making faces and all that stuff. But live, he is looking down at his feet, basically. And he's kind of the same way when you meet him. He's just very quiet, humble, I guess. Just has very little to say.
I kind of pictured that that's the way all of them would be. I mean, I never got to meet any of them, unfortunately. I really wish that I did, but that's kind of the way that I would picture them coming across if you got to meet them, as far as their personality goes.
Yeah. Now, I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time because they were trying to get everybody through like cattle, because there was thousands of people there for this, record signing thing. And but yeah, that's what I got out of it.
So besides Motley Crue, what are some of the other bands or people that you got to meet throughout the years?
Well, I mentioned before Stephen Pearcy from Rat. There's Mark Ferrari, who he's the guitarist from Ron Keel's band. Ricky Rocket. Lizzie Borden.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was at one of those meet and greets at Tower Records. There's a German band. There's a German band called Helloween. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Not familiar with them.
Yeah, they're a German band, but yeah, they had one of those meet and greet things at at Tower Records as well. Lemmy, I've already mentioned that. Almost got to meet, well, I saw him, but couldn't get next to him. That security wouldn't let me next to him, but David Lee Roth.
I don't think he would be a hard person to get next to, honestly.
Yeah, just security was just keeping everybody away from him. He was sitting in the front bar at the Troubadour one night and tried to get over there, and it's like, nope.
Access denied.
Yep. Yep, sorry. I've met Gene Simmons. He's kind of an a-hole.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he just kind of come across like, I'm superstar and you're...
Yes. Well,
you're just a person and I'm a superstar? Or was it kind of that attitude?
Yeah, you put your pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. But,
right.
If you've ever seen him walking through a building or doing interviews, he's always wearing them damn sunglasses.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if it's indoors, he's got sunglasses on.
I never thought about that.
And I forget where it was where I saw him. It doesn't matter, but I walked up to him and I said, Gene, it's nice to meet you. And he had his hands folded in front of, down in his front.
Kind of closed.
Yeah. And I said, it's nice to meet you, Gene. He goes, yes, it is.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's really freaking cocky.
And
I don't care who you are. That's just freaking cocky.
And I stuck my hand out I stuck my hand out like to shake his hand. He just looked down at it and looked back up. And that was it.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's an asshole move.
He's like, see you later.
No.
All right. And that kind of destroyed my image of him. because as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
he was my idol.
Oh, I mean, Kiss was big at that point in time.
He
They,
was
yeah.
idol because, going back to the previous time we talked about this, I think John asked a question of a concert I've been to that changed my life. It was Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, and I was 13 at the time when I saw them. And just my entire, he was my hero. That's all I could say.
Mm-hmm.
And that just crushed me.
Oh, I
had such an empty feeling after that. And I'm like, oh, all right. It's kind of like, flipping the bird and walk away, type of thing.
But who says that? See. That's the thing
He actually did it on national TV to everybody in the world. I was blown away. I watched the first episode of his show. He had a show called Gene Simmons something.
The Simmons or something. Yeah.
And he literally acted like that in the first show.
Yeah.
He actually opens up with that. It's good to be me.
And he opened every show with that.
I only watched the one episode. I'm like, okay, that's nauseating. Yeah, that's a little too much.
Yeah, every show was open with that saying. I know you can't see it in the camera, but behind me, above those coats hanging on there, there's an autographed picture of Peter Criss.
Oh.
I got to meet him at the very first Kiss convention that ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Peter is just the complete opposite. Just very wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
Very talkative, very nice, a great personality, just the opposite of Gene.
That just absolutely floors me. I'm sorry. I don't have time for people that do that. That's rude.
Yeah.
Makes me think of a question along that lines as we're talking about all these people that you've met, and some of them you've met 3 or 4 different people, in a band, and obviously all these people have different personalities, like that you're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. Is there one band in your mind that stands out that you just go, how the hell did they stay together? Because their personalities are so different, but yet they can come on stage and do their performance and go into the studio and do the recordings and what have you.
Now, only meeting half of the band thus far, I would say Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met Peter, fantastic guy. Gene Simmons, asshole.
Yeah.
But if you know anything about their career, Kiss's career,
mm-hmm.
they have gone through many member changes. Many, different people have come and gone. And it's usually because from things that I've read and saw, because of Gene.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his greediness.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how they keep going.
That is crazy when you think about it, when you put it in that context, because obviously the band is out there to make their money and be successful at it, but when you got one person that's got more of that mentality than the other, it just kind of amazes me how they do stay together when you say that.
But they actually are doing another farewell tour.
Oh, really? That surprises me.
Yeah.
Because they got to be up in age now, don't they? What are they, like in their...
Well, Gene is got to be in his early 60s. Gene and Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the replacements,
mm-hmm.
is what I call them. This is not real Ace and real Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are younger.
Yeah.
The drummer, Eric Singer, he's probably in his mid to late 40s. And fake Ace, which his name was Tommy Thayer, he is probably early 40s.
I have another question here from the chat room. Douglas wants to know if you had ever seen Iggy Pop.
No, that was never my style of music. No.
Okay.
So, what was I going to say? It doesn't matter.
It's kind of, thanks guys for putting some of them questions out there in the chat room. I do appreciate it.
The Tommy Thayer thing, the guy that's Fake Ace, he actually used to be the guitarist in a band called Black and Blue, if you remember them.
Barely.
Yeah, okay. They were part of the Hollywood scene too.
Okay. Wow. This is crazy. What a trip that you're taking us on. I'm really enjoying this. I really am. A lot of surprising things. Let's see. I'm just checking the chat room to see if there was any more questions. I don't see anything currently.
I got one. I got a quick one for you.
John, you got one?
Can you think of any insane moment you saw happen at one of the smaller concerts in the LA scene there? Any crazy moments?
That would, be Axl Rose jumping off the stage and start punching somebody.
Is there a story to this?
Oh, please dish.
I don't know. I want to say he threw a beer on him or something, and Axl just jumped off the stage. And this wasn't Guns N' Roses. This was the band prior to that, which was Hollywood Rose. And he just started wailing on this guy.
Holy cow. He doesn't seem like a huge dude as far as,
Oh, no. He's not big in stature at all.
Yeah. Jumping off the stage.
but he's fiery.
Was there any other kind of crazy, weird moments that stuck out in your mind that you're like, I didn't see that coming?
None that comes to mind right now.
Okay. I'm sorry. I can just picture that.
My memory, I guess.
I can just picture that in my mind's eye. Him just jumping off the stage and wham, wham.
Yeah.
Beating on that guy. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's funny, but it's not. But wow.
Whatever it was, it had to be pretty serious because you don't just jump off a stage and go, you know what? Right. Concert's over. You and me now.
Well, Axl has an attitude. I'm sure we've all heard the stories of him stopping a show because something wasn't perfect and walking off stage and not finished in the concert. He's got that quick temper.
Very short fuse.
Somebody did something. I don't know if they threw something at him or what, but he just jumped off the stage and started beating the tar out of somebody.
Oh, wow. That's just crazy.
You know, that guy's going. Every blow, laughing. That guy's going 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 30. Keep going, dude.
Cha-ching.
Well, no, this was back before he was rich.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that. All right, $5, $10, $15. I'm going to have all the money from the ticket sales here at this concert tonight.
Yeah.
That's about it. Oh, my gosh. That's just too funny. I'm sorry. I just picture that in my mind's eye and went off and running with that one. Okay. Well, I don't know that I have any more questions off the top of my head.
This was
John?
Fun. This was fun. I had a
Anything
good time.
More? Okay.
No, we got to let the guy go. I'm
yes.
sure. But I had fun. This is good. I enjoyed this.
And it's only 7:15 here, so I'm good.
Remember, people, for all you young people that are out there in a band, if you want to get famous, dress like a chick.
No, I don't want to see any more pictures on Facebook of boys looking with the makeup on.
No dresses.
Yeah, please, no dresses.
And no
whatever
dudes
you do.
No dudes in fishnets. It doesn't work, really.
What kind of did for Rocky Horror Picture
I
Show?
don't know. Nikki used to do that.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Remind me to never see that picture.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I suppose this will be a good point to start shutting her down. I just want to say thanks to everybody in the chat room that joined us tonight, and thanks for the questions. That was really awesome. Thanks everybody that was listening on Spreaker tonight, and thanks to everybody that will be listening in podcast.
And where's that at? Where's that at?
We are on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, and you keep telling me what the rest
Google,
are, and
Google as well. You
Google.
You can find her all over the place.
I'm all over the place.
And why is she famous? Because she wears chicks' clothes.
Well, it could be worse. It could be wearing guys' clothes. I don't know how that would go. Anyways, thanks very much, Jeff, for joining us tonight. This is really great. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to talk to you about this, and
Yeah, this was fun.
I'm sure take a trip down memory lane for you and jog your memory on all kinds of things that you probably hadn't thought about in quite some time.
Right.
So that's it. Join us again next week. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing because I can't recall off the top of my head. So,
would you like me to look at your show plan book here real quick? You got sayings. Sure. Where do they come from?
Oh yeah, that's going to be a good one. So I hope you'll join us for that next week. And once again, thanks Jeff for joining us, and thanks everybody for joining us this evening. Have a good night and a great week ahead.